That doesn't make any sense to me. So let me challenge you on that. Okay, so you said that ice age happened when? And it lasted for 150, how many years?
100 million.
100 million years. And it was...
It was called a Karoo, K-A-R-O-O.
How long ago was that?
It began 350 million years ago and ended 250 million years ago, and it's in Wikipedia and everywhere else.
No, I'm not questioning that didn't exist. But what doesn't make any sense is when that did happen, how many people were living on the planet 350 million years ago?
Modern life was well established at that time. Forests were established. Animals were established, insects were established, all the sea life was already established.
How about human? Like, how about us?
It doesn't matter. We're a mammal.
But wait a minute. I'm asking you a question. It does matter in this context.
No, let me tell you why it doesn't. Because yourself, myself, and all of us in this room, and everybody in this world, and all the animals and plants, all came from then.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
No, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't possible.
Of course. Listen, you're on a podcast, so you're going to get challenged. If you're uncomfortable with it, I'm going to keep challenging you. So you can challenge me. I'm comfortable with this.
I'm ready.
So going back to it. So do you think if I talk on my phone for 12 hours straight, every day for 2 years, you think that radiation is going to hurt me a little bit?
No.
You don't think it's going to hurt me at all?
No.
Okay. Do you think the whole thing with radiations being near plants, nuclear plants, or the wiring? You know how
5G you're talking about?
No, not 5G.
Wind turbines?
I'm not going conspiracy theory. I'm just going straight up. Like if you live close to plants that have a lot of radiation, you think that's bad for you and I?
No.
At all? Zero. Okay.
No, because they don't have a lot of radiation. They're shielded, and they have less radiation than standing near a granite wall in many cases.
Okay.
Granite has radiation in it.
Do you think a guy who works near choppers and planes, there is side effects that's going to hurt his hearing over a time of 10, 20 years?
Only if he gets hit by the propeller.
There's going to be hearing. I was in the Army myself, and they would say, wear these things because if you, but sometimes eventually there's some side effects to it, right? Okay. There's no way I can compare how peaceful a building was with nobody working and living in it versus how peaceful a building is with 200 people living in that building. There's going to be more things breaking with 200 people living in a building than when that building was built up and nobody's living in it. There's going to be things that's going to happen. There's going to be deterioration because we're going to naturally do that. When I bought my house was brand spanking new, clean, white walls, all this stuff. Come take a look at some of the white walls. See what my 4 kids have done, okay? The other, I'm like, Jen, what is this all about? Babe, I don't even know how they broke that. Okay, we got to get it fixed, right? Okay. So I'm not sitting here saying it's your climate change is real. But I'm saying if I'm going to match data to data, you can't say data to data and there's no human, mankind living here versus there's mankind living today. I don't know. This is not my world. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a PhD. I'm a person that questions things to wonder. There has to be some kind of correlation here with what we're doing to hurt this, if we are in any possible way. So when you say that and you say ice age, all this stuff, I'm like, well, come on, but we were not around. So we came around. Things have changed ever since mankind has started producing things. You can look at Dubai, what Dubai looked like 40 years ago. You ever seen a picture of what Dubai looks like today? It ain't the same place. It's a completely different place. So we have some kind of an impact on it. My question becomes as the following. What's the capacity in this building? How many people
100 people. 150 people.
But how about if we really are super cheap and we want to max this place out?
200 people.
200 people. Can we have 500 people working in this building?
Hell no.
Is it no or hell no?
It is hell no.
It is hell no. I agree with you.
We have a nice building, just for the record.
It's not what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with nice building. We have a nice, planet that we're living in. What's our capacity? And what kind of a negative impact are we making into it, if any? That's my curiosity.
Yeah. Cities occupy about 2.5% of the land on the earth, and the land is only 25% of the earth. The other 75% is the ocean, where very few people are living. So we have actually, the people who live in the cities think the whole world is a city, I think. I think they never go outside to see what's out there or fly over it to see what's underneath, how many farms and forests there are across the United States of America. I've flown over every country in the world practically. Let me give you one example. Europe, the whole of Europe, like the EU, 200 years ago, was down to less than 10% forest. They had been using wood, but this is before fossil fuels were used extensively. So they were using wood for all their energy, for heating all their buildings, for making steel and copper and glass and steam engines. So they had started to deplete the forests, and the forests weren't growing back naturally as fast as they were being cut for industry and heating. And so silviculture was born, the science of growing forests. And whereas agriculture started about 10,000 years ago, growing food, it was not necessary to learn how to grow trees because there were so many of them and so few people that up until then no one had learned how to farm trees. So silviculture began in Central Europe, in the eastern part, and today Europe has 43% forest cover, more than 4 times, nearly 5 times what it had 200 years ago. And that is the result of humans farming trees. And the trees are native trees. In some countries, they farm trees that come from other countries, what they call them exotic trees. Like in South America, for example, there are really no native trees that are good for forestry because they grow too slowly. New Zealand is the same. A lot of the southern hemisphere has forests that grow very slowly. But they can import pines from California in New Zealand, the Monterey pine, and develop a huge forest industry and exporting wood to Japan and China by the score, and at the same time creating a forest where there wasn't one before because it had been turned into a grassland with sheep on it. And that's why New Zealand has so many sheep, because it wasn't worth growing trees back on the land after you felled the trees for wood. So they brought in sheep. Now they're putting those same pastures back to forest in many cases. China and India have produced more new forest cover in the last 50 years than all the rest of the world put together. And in fact, China and India are, between the two of them, emitting more than 50% of all the carbon dioxide in the world today. Therefore, they are contributing to the most to the fertilization of the air with CO2 to grow more food crops and forests. That's why there's record harvests every year. About 70% of the increase in our food crops are because of additional carbon dioxide.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.